Hi, how's it going? I'm Resident of Collinwood, and I'm here to review John Philip Betancourt's continuing blog series, The Return of Dark Shadows, Series 11, Chapter 6, Kiss of the Witch. And before I get started on this review, I always tell you guys when I'm wrong, I'm going to admit to it. And I was wrong. I guessed that Gabriel, the district attorney, was actually Quentin. No, I got the confirmation from JP himself. Nope, not Quentin. So, and that in reading this chapter too. But I still think Gabriel is a fascinating character, and I'm going to get into that here with this review. But first, I got to start off with, this picks up right where it left off. You have Victoria coming back to Collinwood, finally escaping, Wincliffe with Dominique. Um, that whole thing is, I can't, I'm getting in, that was, holy cow. Um, Here you have Victoria coming back. Curtis sort of really steals a lot of this opening of Victoria's coming back. And I like that because you're not just focused on Victoria. You have Curtis, you have David, you have Carolyn, you have Alexandra. So you have Soybahan. You have all these characters there. So you have all this, and Curtis is at a shock and disbelief that that woman could, be not just be Angelique, but Curtis is disputing that. Well, people are sort of David and them, even Andrew, are disputing David that hey, you were never really in love. You were put under a spell. Now we all know that Curtis was put under a spell, but what I'll say is Curtis himself, while Angelique's power is fading, fading, fading in this, and I'm going to get into that as well. Curtis has, in my mind, in my reader's perspective, and take that for what it is, has convinced himself, yes, I was in love with this woman, despite who she said or didn't say she was. I was in love with her, and I feel that is so well done here and well written that you now have a confliction in this character that he has convinced himself, nope, I was in love with that woman. So I find that very interesting. And you get into Victoria, she fought Angelique, who was the nurse Cassandra at the uh, Wincliffe, and the fake Dr. Wolf. She was Dr. Wolf as well. Remember, she could shapeshift. Told Victoria everybody was dead. We know that's not true, and now so does Victoria. She knows her family's alive. She knows her family is safe. What she can't come to grips with is that her son is legitimately in love with this woman, and it's tearing her in half. Definitely on the inside. And that leads me straight to Alexandra. Alexandra Thorne. I'd love to say Alexandra, what happened to Alexandra stole this, but nah, nah. That sequence, the sequence I'm about to talk about, is really great. But in my opinion, I'll get to what stole this. What stole this episode here? And yes, I'm calling these are episodes. You might as well say. Um, excuse me, sorry, but you have Alexander Thorne, who is sitting in the drawing room with everybody, with Victoria, with her mother Carolyn, um, with David. Andrew's there. Now she is sort of spacing out with her eyes open, and now there's darkness all around her. And here's Angelique. This is the send off of send offs for Angelique. She basically goes over and kisses Alex. Well, not basically, she does. She kisses Alexander, giving Alexander her full power. And as Angelique teases to Alexander, well, if you can't beat him, you gotta join him. He likes you. He has decided you should have my power. And she keeps questioning Angelique who. She doesn't get an answer. I'm going to say the devil. You would think that's who it would be, but it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. And it was a very dark sequence. But the one thing I liked about Angelique, she was very, even though I don't feel this is a full on defeat for Angelique. Not really. This isn't so much, you know, see you bye. It's more of a, I'll see you later. I'll call you later. But in my mind, it is. In my opinion, because I don't ever want people to think, "Oh, wait, what?" I, the these reviews are one thing, in my opinion, of the characters, of the story itself, the whole thing. And I really enjoyed the fact that she gives her this kiss. And it's not like a sexual kiss, it's just like, here you go. It's yours now, because this is what he wants. And you're going to meet him. The master, as she puts it. And the dark setting was very creepy, but I love Angelique's sassiness in this, in leaving her powers to Alexander. It's very Angelique, and me and JP were talking about how ahead of her time Laura Parker really was as Angelique. I will say, when I read this part here, and I gotta applaud him for this. And I don't come on here and bullshit you guys. I speak straight from the heart. To me, this was his own witch. This wasn't necessarily Laura Parker's Angelique. Now, you could say, were there elements? I think really the one thing he's done with these original characters, all of them, is he's tried to make these characters their own or his own. And I definitely feel he did that with Angelique, especially on this day right here. And all that has led up, and really all the, like, this day was all built up throughout not just this chapter but the previous chapter, chapter 10. um Definitely, I'm gonna leave I'm gonna leave two links. A link to this series here. Well, sorry, series 11. So series 10. I apologize for the error. I'm gonna leave a link for series 10. I know I'm not done with my video, but and series 11, which series 11, chapter 6. But so I'll be leaving two links in the description box, and you can go back and read the start of series 10, and read all, and but so I'll be leaving two links in the description box for the Return of Dark Shadows here. Um, but I really think this was all built up in the previous series really well, and what it led to was, like I said, Angelique being very, just very. What did I just say? God, I'm losing my. But she was somewhat flirty, but like I said, she just, here you go. Here's the powers. Here's my powers. And again, I like that. It was very different. It wasn't, exactly Laura's Angelique. It was literally, like I said, tried to make these original characters, his own as well. And the new characters, have just been amazing as well. I've really enjoyed this throughout. And that leads me straight to Gabriel. because something that happened in this chapter here that I sort of skipped over a little bit, and yeah, I did that on purpose, is Dominique, who is Gabriel's sister, who helped Victoria escape, and they're like, they didn't see this woman in the house with Victoria in Collinwood. They're like, they called the hospital. Nope, there's no such person by that name. So they're wondering what's really going on. And here is Gabriel at his office. He's the district attorney. And here's Dominique talking to, she's there. And he's like, how did you find me? I always know where you are. Here, this woman is a spirit. And it explains a lot, too, of how she became a spirit. And I'll get into that first. Gabriel tells, he's sort of reminding Dominique, don't you remember what you did? And he tells her, and here's this woman who inadvertently killed herself. She didn't do it on purpose. And they take you back, he takes you back, I think it was 2014 in this story, if I'm not mistaken. And it tells you a story. Gabriel tells you a story, and he does it through Gabriel, telling Dominique, this is what you did. I felt it, and you died. And, and that's the thing. Here's Gabriel, who's trying to get his sister to realize, hey, you need to move on. And I think that's so well done. It's a lot of things. It's, you might say that's a big, it's, this episode is very, very psychological. And what I'll say is that is so creative to go and do. You have this district attorney who has this special ability, and you have his sister who just hasn't moved on, and he's been there this whole time trying to convince her, you need to move on, sort of working up to it to move forward, to move on. And I think why he hasn't done it up until this point is because, not just because he loved her and it's hurtful to let her go, it's because of, this is a girl who wasn't trying to be suicidal in a sense. She was trying to have control of her life, but sometimes things just happen in life, and you either, unfortunately you end up getting yourself killed by accident. And so it's always, to me, from my reader's perspective, it's been so hard for Gabriel I think, work up the nerve to tell his sister, you're dead. You need to move on. You need to move forward. And I like the fact that he talks about his niece, which is her daughter, and it's David's daughter as well. And he's going to, have her talk to her. I think that, again, there's just so much, this is very psychological, but there's so much emotion in this, and it's so well done, and it's just executed to a T. And you can just feel the emotion between the two of them. And even though she is a spirit, there's just a lot of emotion coming from Gabriel, from his words. And that's the one thing that right there is what stole this day right here. Gabriel and Dominique's conversation and the events that happened in the past for them. And obviously there's Julia Hoffman and Quinn, who's her granddaughter, and you have the biggest decision. Is Julia Hoffman going to surrender? Lo and behold, she she's at at the Rose Cottage, and she sees the ghost of Barnabas in the mirror. You know, and again, this is another psychological trip. This day here, this episode was filled with psychological, literal warfare for these characters, and just a lot of, I'd say, I don't want to say psychological demons, because that wasn't the case for every character, but there was that, especially for Julia, I'd say, for Alexander. But for I wouldn't say, psychological demons for Gabriel. Um, you have Julia Hoffman, looking in the mirror and realize, God, I, I'm the monster here. I'm the one who's causing my own life to be hell. And it's one hell of a realization for this character to go through. Literally just. And it's been building and building and building and building. And it just. And it really doesn't really. I like the fact that she feels that way. And it still leaves you wondering, sort of, well, wait, are you or aren't you going to now? But I do think, in my opinion, I don't think she's going to. But I will be curious to see where this character goes from here, and all these characters go from here. Again, I give this a 10. This was excellent, well done, in my opinion. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Again, Series 11, Chapter 6, Kiss of the Witch. Link for that will be in the description box. Also, a link to Series 10 will be in the description box. Actually, you know what? For that, I'm going to just leave a link for John's blog page. And if you guys want to go check that out, definitely for sure, for Series 10. Because that leads to all of this, really, for Angelique. A lot of this. And it's just one hell of a ride. So definitely go check that out. I'll leave a link, 2 links in the description box. Alright guys, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.